Every great achievement in history began with a dream. But dreaming alone isn't enough. We all know people with big dreams who never make them a reality. What separates those who succeed from those who don't? It's not luck, it's not intelligence, it's what they do every single day. Success is not one grand moment, it's the small, consistent actions repeated daily. And today I want to share with you 5 things you must do every day to achieve your dreams. Before you do anything, before you take a single step forward, you need clarity. Not just a vague idea or a rough sketch of what you want, but deep, unwavering clarity about why you want it. Because without that, you are drifting. Without that, you are at the mercy of circumstances, distractions, and the opinions of others. Clarity is the foundation upon which all great achievements are built. Imagine this. You arrive at the airport excited for a trip. You check in, go through security, and make your way to the gate. But when you get there, you realize something. There's no destination listed. You board the plane anyway, thinking it'll probably be fine. Now picture the pilot stepping into the cockpit, sitting down, flipping switches, and adjusting dials, but they don't know where they're going either. What happens next? Chaos, confusion, and ultimately you'll go nowhere meaningful. Life is the same way. If you don't know where you're going, how will you ever get there? How will you ever take the right actions? How will you know which opportunities to say yes to and which ones to pass on? Dreams without direction are just wishes, and a wish without action is a life left unfulfilled. We often marvel at people who seem to have unstoppable momentum, those who rise above the noise and carve out extraordinary success. But if you look closely, you'll notice something remarkable. They all have an unshakable sense of purpose. They know exactly why they do what they do, and that purpose fuels their every move. Take Oprah Winfrey. For years, she was just another talk show host. But the moment she got crystal clear on her purpose helping people live their best lives, everything changed. Her work took on a new level of depth. She wasn't just conducting interviews, she was transforming lives. And in doing so, she built an empire that continues to inspire millions. Clarity brings focus, and focus brings results. Think of it like a magnifying glass. If you hold it under the sun and wave it around, nothing happens. But the moment you hold it still, directing all that energy toward one point, fire ignites. That is the power of clarity. So let me ask you, why are you here? Not just here in this room in this moment, but why are you doing what you're doing? What drives you? What impact do you want to make? The world is full of distractions. Social media, endless notifications, the constant pull of comparison. It's easy to get caught up in someone else's journey, chasing someone else's version of success. But none of that matters if you don't know what you truly want. Because if you're not intentional, you'll spend your whole life climbing a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Every morning, take a moment to ask yourself 3 powerful questions. 1, why am I doing this? 2, what impact do I want to make? 3, what is one step I can take today to move closer to my goal? Write the answers down, revisit them, let them guide you. Because the people who make the greatest impact, the visionaries, the trailblazers, the leaders we admire aren't the ones who had all the answers at the start. They're the ones who committed to a direction even when the path wasn't clear. They're the ones who refused to drift aimlessly. They decided on their destination and took action every single day to move toward it. We are all given the same 24 hours. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary things and those who remain stuck isn't luck. It's clarity. It's knowing without a shadow of a doubt why you do what you do. The world is waiting for you to show up with purpose. The people around you, your family, your colleagues, your community are waiting for you to step into the role you were meant to play. So don't wait for permission, don't wait for the perfect moment, don't wait until you have it all figured out. Start now, with clarity, with purpose, with an unshakable commitment to your why. Because when you do, the path forward becomes clear. And when you know where you're going, you will never ever feel lost again. A mountain isn't climbed in a single leap, it's climbed one step at a time. And yet so many people stand at the base of their mountain staring up at the peak, overwhelmed by its size, paralyzed by the uncertainty of how they will ever reach the top. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect conditions, the perfect set of circumstances before they take the first step. But the truth is, the perfect time never comes. We tell ourselves stories that sound like, I'll start when I have more time, I'll begin when I have more money, I'll take action when I feel ready. And these stories feel real, don't they? They feel logical, reasonable, even responsible. But in reality, they are just excuses dressed up as good intentions. The reality is, readiness is a myth. If you wait until you're ready, you'll wait forever. Think about J.K. Rowling. She wasn't sitting in a cozy office sipping an expensive latte with hours of free time when she wrote Harry Potter. No, she was a struggling single mother on welfare, writing in cafes, squeezing words onto paper in the small pockets of time she could find. She didn't have the time. She didn't have the resources. She didn't have the support. But what did she have? A willingness to take small, consistent actions. A willingness to show up every day and write, even when it was hard, even when she doubted herself, even when it felt impossible. That's the difference. Small actions compound into massive results over time. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the tree overnight. At first, there's just dirt. You water it, you nurture it, and for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. But underground, something incredible is taking place. Roots are forming. The foundation is being built. And then one day, a small sprout emerges, then a stem, then leaves, and before you know it, you have a towering tree that stands strong against the wind. This is how success works. It's not about one big dramatic moment. It's about small actions taken consistently over time. It's about writing a single page, making one phone call, practicing for just 10 minutes a day. It's about starting no matter how small, no matter how imperfect. Because once you start, something powerful happens. Momentum. Momentum is everything. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to push a stalled car? At first, it feels impossible. You strain, you push, you give it everything you have, and at first, it barely moves. But then something shifts. The car starts rolling, and suddenly it gets easier. The weight hasn't changed, the size hasn't changed, but you've built momentum. The same is true for our goals, our dreams, our ambitions. The first steps are always the hardest. But once you start moving, you become unstoppable. So instead of waiting for the right time, instead of waiting for certainty, ask yourself, what is one small action I can take today? Right now, not tomorrow, not next week, not someday. Right now, maybe it's writing the first sentence of that book. Maybe it's making the first call to that potential client. Maybe it's waking up 10 minutes earlier to work on your passion. Whatever it is, do it. Because when you do, you break the cycle of waiting. You step out of hesitation and into action, and action creates results. Too often we believe success is reserved for the chosen few, the ones with the perfect background, the perfect connections, the perfect resources. But that's not true. Success belongs to those who take action. It belongs to those who show up, who do the work, who take the step even when they're scared, even when they're uncertain, even when they don't feel ready. And here's the best part. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start. One step, one action, one decision to move forward. That's all it takes to set things in motion. And once you do, once you commit to the journey, once you embrace the power of small, consistent actions, you'll look back and realize you've climbed that mountain, one step at a time. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Think about that for a second. Who are you around? Do they lift you up or do they pull you down? Do they encourage you to chase your dreams or do they subtly discourage you, filling your mind with doubt? The truth is, no one accomplishes anything great alone. We are shaped, molded, and influenced by the people we surround ourselves with. And that influence determines the trajectory of our lives. In 1953, a young lawyer named Martin Luther King Jr. moved to Montgomery, Alabama. He had the passion, the vision, and the fire inside him, but he didn't yet know how to channel it into something transformative. Then something powerful happened. He surrounded himself with people who shared his dream, who fueled his passion, who challenged him to think bigger. He found mentors, activists, and changemakers who refused to accept the world as it was. That circle of influence didn't just support him, it shaped him into the leader who would go on to change history. The people we choose to keep close have an extraordinary impact on our mindset, our motivation, and ultimately, our success. They can either be the wind beneath our wings or the anchor that holds us down. If you are surrounded by those who complain, who find excuses, who blame others, you will adopt that same mindset. But if you are surrounded by visionaries, problem solvers, and individuals who refuse to settle, you will rise to their level. We all have dreams, some small, some audaciously large, but dreams don't come to life in isolation. They need fuel, and that fuel often comes from the people we allow into our space. Imagine being around people who challenge you to think bigger, who encourage you when you stumble, who believe in you even when you doubt yourself. That kind of support is invaluable. It's the difference between someone who hesitates and someone who steps boldly into their destiny. This is why mentorship matters, why learning from those who have already walked the path is so crucial. A mentor isn't just someone who gives advice. They are someone who expands your thinking, who shows you what's possible. They are living proof that success is attainable. When you find someone who has been where you want to go, they can illuminate the way, helping you avoid pitfalls and navigate challenges with greater confidence. But just as important as finding the right people is removing the wrong ones. Toxic relationships are like weeds in a garden. They don't just exist passively. They choke the life out of everything around them. Some people will drain your energy, diminish your self-worth, and make you question your path. It is not harsh to remove these influences. It is necessary. You owe it to yourself and your dreams to protect your space. Imagine an athlete preparing for the Olympics. They don't train with people who lack discipline. They don't surround themselves with those who tell them it's impossible. No, they find coaches who push them, teammates who uplift them, and supporters who remind them why they started in the first place. If the greatest athletes in the world need the right environment to succeed, why would any of us be any different? The people around you should inspire you. They should make you want to be better, to do better, to think differently. They should challenge you to stretch beyond what's comfortable, because growth never happens in comfort. They should believe in your potential even before you fully see it yourself. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most inspired, most alive, most driven. Chances are you weren't alone. Chances are there was someone, a friend, a mentor, a leader who sparked that fire in you. Now ask yourself, are you surrounding yourself with people who keep that fire burning? Or are you around those who slowly extinguish it? Your environment shapes you. Your circle influences you. Choose wisely, because the people around you will either fuel your dreams or destroy them. Let's be real. Setbacks will happen. Failure will happen. Life is not a straight line. It is filled with unexpected turns, obstacles that seem insurmountable, and moments that test every fiber of our being. But what separates those who thrive from those who falter is not luck, intelligence, or talent. It is resilience. Think about the most successful people you know, the ones who have made a lasting impact. Do you think they never faced failure? Of course they did. The difference is that they didn't let failure define them. They didn't see obstacles as roadblocks. They saw them as opportunities to rise, to learn, to become better versions of themselves. Take Michael Jordan. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine for a moment what that must have felt like. A young boy with dreams of greatness, told he wasn't good enough. It would have been easy to walk away, to accept that judgment as final. But he didn't. Instead, he used that failure as fuel. He trained harder, pushed himself further, and refused to let someone else's opinion determine his destiny. He once said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. I've failed over and over again. And that is why I succeed." His story isn't just about basketball. It's about mindset. It's about resilience. It's about the willingness to keep going, no matter how many times you fall. So, let me ask you, when things go wrong, what do you do? When you hit a wall, when you're rejected, when you stumble, what is your response? Most people see failure as an endpoint. They take it as a sign that they weren't meant for something, that they aren't good enough. But the truth is, failure is just information. It is feedback. It is the universe's way of teaching us something we need to know before we can truly succeed. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you train. It is like a muscle that gets stronger every time you push through difficulty. When a challenge comes your way, you have a choice. Let it crush you or let it shape you. And that choice makes all the difference. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal is heated, beaten, shaped, refined. The fire, the pressure, the relentless hammering it is all necessary to create something strong and unbreakable. The same applies to us. The struggles we endure, the failures we face, they are not there to destroy us. They are there to refine us. Consider some of the greatest minds and innovators in history. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before he successfully invented the light bulb. Imagine if he had stopped at failure number 500 or 900. The world would be a very different place. He understood something powerful. Every failure brought him closer to success. He saw each setback as data, as information, as a necessary step toward his ultimate goal. He trained his mind to see failure not as an obstacle, but as part of the journey. And yet, so many people fear failure. They avoid risks, stay in their comfort zones, and play it safe because they don't want to experience the pain of falling short. But here's the paradox. The people who try to avoid failure at all costs are the ones who remain stuck, while those who embrace it, who learn from it, who push through it, are the ones who go on to achieve extraordinary things. So, how do you train your mind for resilience? You start by reframing how you see failure. When things don't go as planned, instead of seeing it as proof that you aren't good enough, ask yourself, what is this challenge teaching me? How can I grow from this? What's my next move? Because here's the truth. The only real failure is giving up. The only time you truly lose is when you stop trying. Everything else is just part of the process. Think about the most defining moments in your life, the ones that shaped who you are today. I guarantee you many of them came from struggle, from setbacks, from times when you thought you couldn't go on, but you did anyway. That is resilience. That is growth. That is the human spirit at its best. And this doesn't just apply to individuals. It applies to teams, to organizations, to nations. The greatest companies, the greatest movements, the greatest breakthroughs, they were all born out of adversity. Apple was founded in a garage after Steve Jobs was fired from the company he built. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. J.K. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. They all had moments where they could have given up, but they didn't, because they understood that failure is never final unless you allow it to be. So I challenge you, change your relationship with failure. See it not as an enemy, but as a teacher. When you fall, get back up. When you stumble, adjust your footing. When the world tells you no, find a way to make it a yes. Because success is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up. You are capable of more than you think. You have the strength, the courage, the resilience to push through whatever life throws your way. And when you do, you won't just succeed, you will inspire others to do the same. So go out there, take risks, fail boldly, learn relentlessly, and never ever stop moving forward. There is something profound about the way we wake up each morning, filled with possibility, with another chance to do something meaningful, to take one more step toward the person we want to become. Yet, many of us move through our days without pausing to consider whether the steps we took actually brought us closer to our goals. We become consumed by the busyness of life, checking off tasks, meeting deadlines, fulfilling obligations, but how often do we truly stop, reflect, and ask ourselves, am I on the right path? Did I make progress today? Could I do better tomorrow? Progress doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we are intentional. It happens when we are willing to look back at the steps we've taken, not with judgment, not with regret, but with a genuine curiosity to learn. Because real growth isn't about getting everything right the first time. It's about the courage to adjust, to refine, to improve, even when no one is watching. It's about waking up every morning determined to be just a little bit better than we were the day before. Imagine a ship setting sail toward an unseen shore. The captain has a destination in mind, but if they set their course just 1 degree off and never adjust, they will end up hundreds of miles away from where they intended. Life works the same way. We set goals, we make plans, but if we never stop to measure whether we are still headed in the right direction, we risk drifting away from what truly matters. The difference between those who reach their dreams and those who don't isn't always about talent, intelligence, or luck. It's about the discipline to reflect and adjust every single day. Jeff Bezos didn't build Amazon into one of the most successful companies in the world by sticking rigidly to a single plan. He embraced change, welcomed failure, and constantly iterated. Every product, every decision, every new idea went through cycles of testing, learning, and improving. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow, and he knew that. The willingness to reflect and adjust wasn't just a habit, it was a necessity. But let's take this idea beyond business. Think about the greatest athletes in the world. They don't just train, they analyze, they watch game footage, break down their mistakes, and refine their technique. They don't assume they are already the best, they push themselves to be better. That's what makes them champions. It's not just about talent, it's about the discipline to improve. And what about relationships? How often do we take the time to reflect on how we show up for the people we love? Do we consider the words we say, the way we listen, the way we support others? Relationships don't thrive by chance. They require care, effort, and the humility to admit when we could do better. Reflection is not just about personal success, it's about how we connect with the world around us. The truth is, reflection is not always comfortable. It forces us to confront our shortcomings, to acknowledge where we fell short, to face the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. But that discomfort is a gift. It is a signal that growth is happening. The people who make the greatest impact are the ones who are willing to be brutally honest with themselves, not out of self-criticism, but out of an unwavering commitment to become better. So how do we make this a part of our lives? It doesn't require hours of contemplation or elaborate journaling. It starts with 2 simple questions at the end of each day. What did I do today that moved me forward? And what could I do better tomorrow? That's it, just 2 questions. But if answered with honesty and intention, they have the power to transform everything. Maybe today you took a bold step toward a dream that scared you. Maybe you finally had that difficult conversation you'd been avoiding. Maybe you made a mistake, but instead of hiding from it, you owned it and learned from it. That's progress. And maybe tomorrow you'll choose to listen more deeply, to work a little harder, to approach a challenge with a new perspective. That's how growth happens. Success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about the daily intentional commitment to being better than we were yesterday. It's about refusing to settle, refusing to drift aimlessly, refusing to let life just happen to us. It's about taking control, making adjustments, and embracing the journey with all its twists and turns. So tonight, before you close your eyes, take a moment, ask yourself, did I move forward today? Did I grow? Did I live up to the person I know I can be? And if the answer isn't what you hoped, then tomorrow is another chance, another opportunity to reflect, another chance to adjust, another day to be better. And that's the only thing that truly matters. 5 simple things: clarity, action, the right people, resilience, reflection. It doesn't take luck. It doesn't take a genius. It takes you choosing every day to show up, take action, and refuse to quit. Because in the end, your dreams are not just possible. They are inevitable if you are willing to do what it takes every single day. Now, the question is, will you?